We learned to wear detachment like armor, quiet, composed, untouchable, because if nothing gets in, nothing can hurt us, right? But here's the truth. Numbness is not strength. It's self-protection. It's a strategy, one we usually learn early, often without realizing it. And for a while, it works. It helps us get through the hard stuff, grief, trauma, rejection, shame. But over time, that same armor we put on to stay safe becomes the thing that keeps us from fully living. The science backs this up. Studies show that chronic emotional suppression is linked to higher stress levels, weaker immune response, and a lower sense of meaning in life. When we numb, we disconnect, not just from pain, but from joy, intimacy, creativity, and even our sense of purpose. Here's what I've learned after years of research and thousands of stories. Emotional strength is about staying grounded in your truth, even when it's messy. It's about holding space for discomfort without letting it define you. It's being able to say, this is hard, and I'm still here. And maybe most importantly, emotional strength doesn't make you less human. It makes you more. Numbness avoids, strength engages. Let's start with the obvious truth. Life is hard. Things happen that we don't expect. Loss, betrayal, burnout, fear. And when we're hit with those moments, our nervous system does exactly what it was designed to do. It tries to protect us. We pull back, we shut down, we reach for whatever keeps the feelings at bay. And for a while, that makes sense. Numbing is a coping strategy. It's a way of saying, this is too much right now. The problem isn't that we numb. The problem is when we start mistaking numbing for healing. When we start to believe that avoiding our feelings is the same as moving through them. That silence means strength. That apathy means control. But here's what I've learned through years of research and listening to thousands of stories. Numbing is not the absence of feeling, it's the avoidance of it. And it doesn't actually protect us. It just delays the inevitable. The pain doesn't disappear, it just gets buried. And buried emotions don't go quietly, they leak. They show up in ways we don't expect. Sarcasm, disconnection, outbursts, perfectionism, addiction. We all have our go-to numbing tools. For some of us, it's work. If we just stay busy enough, we don't have to feel the fear or the grief that's quietly knocking. For others, it's food, scrolling, alcohol, control, people-pleasing. And the tricky thing is, most of our numbing habits are socially acceptable. In fact, some of them are even praised. She's so strong, she never breaks. He's unshakable, always composed. But there's a big difference between being calm and being disconnected. Emotional strength is not about staying composed at all costs. It's about staying present, even when the feelings are big, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. It's about being willing to engage with our emotional life rather than shutting it down. When you're emotionally strong, you don't deny the storm. You learn how to stand in it. You let the tears come, you sit with the ache. You ask hard questions like, what is this pain trying to teach me? You allow the full human experience instead of filtering it through a lens of what's acceptable or easy. And let's be clear, engaging with your emotions doesn't mean you let them drive the bus. Emotional strength isn't about losing control. It's about building the capacity to feel without falling apart. It's about giving yourself permission to be human and trusting that you have the tools, the support, and the self-compassion to navigate what comes up. So if you're someone who's been white-knuckling your way through life, powering past your feelings and calling it strength, I want to invite you to pause, breathe. Ask yourself not, am I okay? But am I actually feeling what needs to be felt? Because when we choose to engage instead of avoid, we create space for healing, we create space for connection, and most of all, we create space for our truest, strongest self to rise. And that's where we begin. Numbness disconnects, strength connects. One of the sneakiest things about emotional numbing is how quietly it builds walls around us. Not physical walls, but invisible ones. Walls that separate us from our own inner world. And just as importantly, from the people who matter most. When we numb ourselves emotionally, it doesn't just stay contained inside. We might think we're keeping it all under control. I've got this, I'm fine, I don't want to burden anyone. But what we're really doing is closing the door to connection. And here's the thing, you can't selectively numb. You can't say, I don't want to feel shame, grief, fear, and expect to fully feel joy, love, and belonging. It doesn't work that way. When we go numb to everything. I've sat with people who've said, I just don't feel connected to anyone anymore. And it's heartbreaking because in almost every case, it's not because they don't love their people. It's because they've armored up so tightly to protect themselves from vulnerability that love has no way in or out. We think we're being strong by holding it all in. We believe we're protecting the people around us by not showing the mess. But what actually happens is we start to feel more alone, more distant, less seen, less known. And that disconnection, whether it's from our partners, our kids, our teams, or ourselves, it begins to eat away at us quietly, like emotional erosion. Connection requires openness. It requires the willingness to be seen, not just in our victories, but in our struggles. Emotional strength means having the courage to say this is hard right now. It's looking someone in the eyes and saying, I'm scared, or I feel overwhelmed, or even, I don't know what I need, but I know I don't want to go through this alone. That's not weakness, that's deep courage. We often underestimate how powerful vulnerability is in building trust. In relationships, in leadership, in community, connection isn't built on perfection, it's built on shared humanity. And that humanity shines through when we stop numbing and start feeling, when we stop hiding and start reaching. Research shows that people who feel connected, really connected, have higher levels of resilience, lower rates of anxiety and depression, and even live longer. And what fosters that connection isn't charisma or confidence, it's authenticity. It's emotional presence. It's the willingness to show up, feel it, and let others see the real you. Now, connection doesn't mean oversharing or spilling every emotion to everyone. That's not strength, that's disorientation. Strength is discerning who has earned the right to hear your story and having the courage to let them in. Because when you stop numbing and start engaging, you don't just reconnect with others, you start to come home to yourself. And that kind of connection, it doesn't just make us stronger, it makes us whole. Numbness is armor, strength is boundaries. One of the most misunderstood ideas in our culture is the difference between emotional armor and healthy boundaries. On the outside, they can look really similar. Someone who seems private, composed, maybe even a little distant. But what's happening on the inside is wildly different. Emotional armor is what we put on when we don't feel safe. When we've been hurt, rejected, criticized, especially repeatedly, our instinct is to protect, to say, I'll never let that happen again. So we suit up, we get tougher, colder, more guarded. We start to believe that vulnerability is dangerous and openness is weakness. Armor becomes our go-to. It's the shield we carry into relationships, workplaces, even our own families. But here's the thing about armor, it's heavy. It doesn't just keep bad things out, it keeps everything out. Love, connection, spontaneity, intimacy, trust. The more we wear it, the more it isolates us. And eventually we start to confuse the protection with our identity. We don't just wear armor, we become it. Now, healthy boundaries, that's a whole different thing. Boundaries are not walls, they're clarity. They're rooted in self-respect and emotional awareness, not fear. When I set a boundary, I'm not shutting you out. I'm letting you know what's okay for me and what's not. Boundaries are about what I'm responsible for and what I'm not. Armor says, I'll never let anyone in. Boundaries say, I will let people in, but not at the cost of my peace, my truth, or my safety. The tricky part is that many of us were never taught the difference. We were praised for armoring up. We were told things like, don't let them see you sweat, toughen up, you're too sensitive. So we learned to equate emotion with weakness and self-protection with strength. But I've seen what happens when people live armored lives. It may look polished on the outside, but inside, there's often resentment, loneliness, and a quiet sense of disconnection from who they really are. I remember working with a woman who said, I've built this life where no one can hurt me. And I'm realizing no one can really love me either. That's the cost of armor. It keeps us safe, but it also keeps us small. Emotional strength is the opposite of that. It's standing tall in your truth and still staying open. It's saying no without guilt, yes without resentment, and asking for what you need without apology. That's what boundaries allow us to do. They honor our worthiness and invite others to do the same. So if you've been confusing emotional shutdown with strength, I want you to hear this. Taking your armor off doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're finally trusting that you can protect yourself without hiding who you are. That's not just strong, that's transformative. Numbness feels empty, strength feels whole. There's a moment I've seen over and over again. Someone says, I should be happy. I have a good job, a decent life, people who love me, but I feel nothing, just flat. And they say it with shame, like somehow feeling empty is a failure. But the truth is that emptiness is a red flag, an inner alarm that something important has been buried. When we go numb, when we push down every hard emotion, every vulnerability, every piece of discomfort, we start to lose access to the rich texture of our inner life. And when that goes, it takes the joy with it, the peace, the sense of aliveness. You can't feel whole when you're constantly silencing parts of yourself. We were never meant to live in emotional extremes, either overwhelmed by everything or detached from it all. But in the face of pain, especially unprocessed or repeated pain, numbing starts to feel like the only way to cope. So we stuff it down, we power through, we get really good at pretending things are fine. And maybe on the surface they are. Maybe you show up, you get the job done, you handle responsibilities, support others, keep your cool. From the outside, you're functioning, but inside, there's a dull ache. That quiet voice that whispers, is this all there is? So here's what I want to say to that version of you. You're not broken. You're disconnected. Disconnected from the parts of yourself that feel, that grieve, that dream, that hope. Emotional numbness doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been in survival mode. It means your nervous system has been doing its job, trying to protect you. But protection isn't the same as healing. And it's definitely not the same as wholeness. Wholeness isn't about being happy all the time. It's about being honest. It's about having access to the full range of your emotions and trusting that you can feel without drowning, that you can hurt without being destroyed, that you can cry and still lead, still parent, still love. Strength comes from integrating, not avoiding. It comes from saying, I can hold this sadness and still move forward, or I can feel joy without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Real strength isn't perfect composure, it's deep presence. It's being able to check in with yourself and say, I know what I'm feeling, and I know how to care for myself in it. You don't have to trade emptiness for chaos. That's a false choice. You can trade emptiness for wholeness. And wholeness is what happens when we allow all parts of ourselves, especially the tender ones, to have a seat at the table. That's the kind of strength that doesn't just get you through the day. It's the kind that helps you come alive. Numbness is short-term survival. Strength is long-term growth. Now, there's a reason numbing feels like relief at first. It gives you a break, it quiets the noise, it lets you breathe, especially when you're dealing with something that feels too heavy to carry. And honestly, sometimes it is too much. Sometimes numbing is the body's way of saying, I need a pause, not a breakdown. So let's be clear. This isn't about judgment. It's about recognizing the difference between surviving and truly living. Survival is important. It gets us through the trauma, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the panic attack, the burnout. But survival is supposed to be temporary. It's the emergency room of emotional life. It's not the place we set up camp. But too many of us do, because we don't know what else to do. We stay stuck in survival mode, and it slowly becomes our default setting. Everything starts feeling like a crisis. Everything feels fragile. So we stay numb because it feels safer than re-entering the emotional world. But here's the cost. When we live in survival mode too long, we stop growing. We stop stretching. We stop becoming. And something in us starts to shrink, not just our emotions, but our creativity, our courage, our capacity for joy and connection. The parts of us that were meant to evolve stall. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It asks something of us. It asks us to face the very things we've been trying not to feel, to sit in uncertainty, to risk being seen, to grieve honestly, to hope fiercely, to love with no guarantee. Growth requires presence, it requires discomfort, and more than anything, it requires truth. And truth-telling, especially the truth we tell to ourselves, is the beginning of every real transformation. When we stop saying, I'm fine, and start saying, I'm hurting, and I don't want to stay stuck in this, something shifts. That's emotional strength. That moment where you stop hiding and start healing. I've talked to people who have lived most of their lives in emotional survival. They've worn it like armor. And do you know what almost all of them say once they begin to let go of the numbness? They say, I had no idea how much of myself I had buried. Because when you go numb for too long, you don't just numb the pain, you numb the parts of you that were made to thrive. Real strength isn't just about bouncing back, it's about rising different. It's about learning, integrating, and becoming more whole through the process. Strength isn't gritting your teeth and pretending nothing happened. It's looking at what happened, letting it change you, and still choosing to love yourself through it. So yes, numbing might get you through the night, but strength will carry you through a lifetime. Let me leave you with this. We live in a world that teaches us to be tough, to be untouchable, to keep it all together no matter what. But that version of strength, it's incomplete. Because real strength, the kind that actually heals, connects, and transforms, it doesn't come from shutting down. It comes from showing up. It's the strength to feel, to stay present, to say this matters to me. It's the strength to let your heart break without letting it close, to fall apart and still come back to yourself, piece by honest piece. It's knowing that numb might feel easier, but wholeness is what we're really craving. And if you're somewhere in between, half surviving, half yearning, please hear this. You're not alone. You are not too far gone, and you don't have to do it all at once.